Good day, everybody. I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 6 English lesson on adjectives and adverbs. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 6. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of adjectives and adverbs. All right. So our chapter is adjectives and adverbs. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 6. And then the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of adjectives and adverbs is to choose between adjectives and adverbs. And we're going to say, is the word an adjective or an adverb? All right. So when it comes to an adjective, right? An adjective, it is a word that describes or modifies a noun. So once again, an adjective, it is a word that describes or modifies a noun, or it describes or modifies a pronoun. Because remember, a pronoun takes the place of a noun. All right. And also when it comes to adjectives, right? Then adjectives, they often tell us what kind, or adjectives, they tell us how many. So once again, an adjective is a word that either describes or it modifies a noun. Remember, a noun, it names people, places, animals, things, right? So an adjective, it tells us about or describes or modifies that noun. It describes or modifies the people, the places, the animals, the things, for example. And adjectives often tell us what kind, or adjectives can even tell us how many. All right. So now if we look at an example, right, of an adjective, it says the apples were delicious. So the apples were delicious. All right. So we said an adjective, it is a word that describes, modifies a noun or a pronoun. And adjectives, they often tell us what kind, or they will tell us how many. And we're going to identify how we can describe or identify an adjective that describes or tells us what kind, or an adjective that tells us how many. And if we look at this example, so we see that the apples, this is examples, the apples were delicious. So now apples is our noun. So apples is our noun, right? But remember, we need to either identify our adjective or our adverb. All right. So we say that apples is our noun, and the adjective within that sentence that says the apples were delicious, right? And then we can say apples is the noun and delicious is our adjectives. Because now that word delicious, right? It tells us what kind of apples they were. They were delicious animals. Apples, sorry. So what kind of apples? It was delicious apples. So delicious is then our adverb that tells us about the noun. It describes or modifies the noun. Then we have an adverb, right? And an adverb, it is a word that describes or it modifies a verb. And an adjective, if we look at an basically an adverb, right? Yes, it describes and modifies a verb. It can also describe and modify an adjective or any other adverb. And adverbs, right? They often tell us how or when or where, to what extent or even to what degree. That is how we can see, how we can identify the adverbs. All right. So once again, we said an adverb, it's a word that describes or modifies a verb. Remember, we said that if we look at the difference between an adjective and an adverb, right? An adjective describes or modifies a noun, whereas an adverb describes or modifies a verb, one adjective or another adverb. And with adverbs, they often tell us how, when, where, to what extent, or what degree. All right. And if we look at an example, it says Grace ran really quickly. Grace ran really quickly. All right. And remember, we said that when it comes to adverbs, right, they either describe or modify the verb, and they either tell us how or when or where, to what extent, to what degree. So we say Grace ran really quickly. All right. And if we identify our adverbs, right? Then firstly, ran is our verb. All right, so ran is our verb. So now a word that either tells us about ran. So now the question is, how did he run? Then we can say it is quickly. So quickly is our adverb. Quickly. And that tells us how. All right. So we said that Grace ran quickly, right? We said ran is our main verb because it tells us the action that Grace did. But now we need to say how Grace did something. All right, so quickly is our adverb. So well done. And you must remember also that most of our adverbs, right, that tells you how they end in ly. So most of the adverbs that tells us how they end in ly, like your adverb quickly, hurriedly, sadly. All right. And once again, before we move on, all right. Firstly, keeping in mind, adverbs that end in ly, they tell us how something happened. All right. So when it comes to adverbs, right, we now went over what an adverb is. Remember, we said an adverb, it tells us about the verb. It either describes the verb, it modifies the verb, right? And an adverb can either basically describe or modify a verb, another adjective, or another adverb. And like I say, adverbs, it tells us how something is being done. It ends in ly. All right. So now you can't always use ly to tell whether a word. So you can't always just use ly to tell whether a word is an adjective or an adverb. All right. So once again, you can't always just use ly to tell whether a word is an adjective or an adverb. Let's say, for example, we have another sentence that says, she arrives soon. What is our main verb within that sentence? Not even main verb, sorry. What is our either adjective or adverb within that sentence? All right. So then we'll have words like soon. Soon does not end with ly. Soon tells us when something is going to happen. When are we going? All right. So now, before we go to aplusstudents.ca, we see that an adjective is a word that describes or modifies a noun, or it describes, modifies a pronoun. Adjectives that often tell us what kind, or adjectives that even tell us how many, right? So it's almost like saying if we were to say that, like yeah, the apples were delicious. So now the question is, what kind of apples? We can say they were delicious apples. Or if we were to choose how many, then if we, for example, have a noun, then it's like saying there's one bear, two of this, many, lots, and so on. And then the adjectives, it tells us what the adverb is, a word that describes or modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. And adverbs, they often tell us how, when, where, to what extent, or to what degree. All right. So adverbs, it basically tells us how something is happening, when it is happening, where it's taking place, to what extent or to what degree. Whereas adjectives, they tell us what kind or how many. All right, so now we're going to aplusstudents.ca and we're going to choose between an adjective and an adverb. All right, so we're not still going to go over the description again. All right, so now we're by the activity before we go to the test. It says we need to choose the word that best describes or modifies the word in bold. All right, so here it says the new father stared. And we're going to say lovingly because it tells us how the father stood there and was watching. The next one says, although Miss Landry, or Miss Landry, yeah, was worried, her guests thought that the party was. And we can say lovely. All right. All right, so now we're going to our test, right? Where we are going to either choose between an adjective that tells us more about the noun, it describes or modifies a noun, or we're going to choose between an adverb that describes or modifies a verb, an adjective, another adverb. So now we're at the test. All right, so we're going to now choose between is it an adjective or is it an adverb, right? That must basically be filled in to complete the sentence. It says we need to choose the word that best describes and modifies the word in bold. So need. Do we say the builder's probable need to rent a bulldozer to move all the dirt and rocks on the property? Or do we say the builders probably need to rent a bulldozer to move all the dirt and rocks on the property? Which one is correct? Option one, probable, or option two, probably? So which one is correct? Option one, the builder's probable need, or option two, the builders probably need to rent a bulldozer to move the dirt and rocks on the property. Which one is correct? All right, and if we were to select the correct option, right, between option one, probable, and probably, then yes, we can choose option two. The builders probably need to rent a bulldozer to move all the dirt and rocks. Well done. Yes, well done. Option two is correct. The next one says we need to choose the word that best describes or modifies the word in bold. So lift. Do we say exhausted after his long day? Michael silently left his office and proceeded home, or Michael silent left his office and proceeded home. Option one, silently, or option two, silent, left his office and proceeded home. Which one is correct? So silently, option one, or silent, option two. All right, and if we were to select the correct option, We will say, exhausted after his long day, Michael silently left his office and proceeded home. That's an adverb. So well done. Option one is correct. Well done. Do we say the friendly department store manager? Or do we say the nicely department store manager helped me select the perfect gift for my niece's 16th birthday? Do we say option one, the friendly department store manager helped me select the perfect gift for my niece's birthday? Or the nicely department store manager helped me select the perfect gift for my niece's 16th birthday? Which one is correct? Friendly or nicely? That describes the manager. All right. And if we were to select the correct word that describes the store manager, then we can say option one, the friendly department store manager. So well done. Friendly is correct. All right, let's look at the next one. It says doctors recommend a healthy diet and regular exercise to keep your mind sharply or to keep your mind sharp. Which one is correct? Is it to keep your mind sharply or to keep your mind sharp? To keep your mind sharply or to keep your mind sharp, sharp, sharp. And if we were to select the correct option, we can then say doctors recommend a healthy diet and regular exercise to keep our minds sharp. To keep it sharp. Well done. Let's look at the next one and then we're going on to the next lesson. It says, although Miss Landry was worried, her guests thought that the party was lovely, option one, or the party was nicely, option two. Which one is correct? Lovely or nicely? So do we say the guests thought the party was lovely, option one, or they thought it was nicely, option two? So do we say the party was lovely or nicely? So if we were to choose the correct one, we can then say that her party was option one, lovely. She had a lovely party. Well done. Lovely is correct. So we identified we had to choose between an adjective as well as an adverb, right? And once again, an adjective it modifies a noun or it tells us about a noun or describes a noun, whereas an adverb it tells us or modifies about the verb. So we're not going to say is the word either an adjective or is the word an adverb. We need to say if the word is an adjective or an adverb. All right. So remember, we are going to have to now say, is the word an adjective or is the word an adverb? And keep in mind, try to either look for the noun or try to look for the verb in order for you to say that, this is an adverb or this is an adjective. Because remember, we said an adjective, it tells us about the noun, and an adverb, it either tells us about a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So we're going to identify by saying, is the word either an adjective or an adverb? All right. So we now need to say if the word is an adjective or an adverb. We already went over the explanation of an adjective or an adverb, so we can go to our test. Yes, it's almost the end of our lesson. Almost. Just 4 more minutes, actually 3 more minutes. It says, is the word in bold an adjective or is it an adverb? It says, is Mr. Bennett's farm still the major supplier of produce for the grocery store in 6th Street? If we look at the word in bold, right? The word in bold, it tells us about the word that is underlined. The word that is underlined is either a noun or it is a verb. So option one, adjective. Option two, adverb. Major supplier. And if we were to select the correct option, all right. And if we were to select whether it is an adjective or an adverb, right? And then we are going to say that major supplier is the either the verb or the adjective. So we're gonna say it isn't. So we can say it's an adjective. An adjective. Major supplier. So major tells us about the supplier, which is like a person or a thing, like then we can say it's an adjective. Yes, adjective is correct. Yes, well done. I can't believe how many city council members were absent from today's vote. So members, right, is the either the noun or the verb. Absent members. Is this an adjective, absent, or is it an adverb? I can't believe how many city council members were absent from today's vote. Which one is correct? Option one is an adjective that describes the members, or option two, which describes the members. And if we were to select the correct option, then we can say it is an adjective because members is a noun. So now we're describing the members that are absent. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson on adjectives and adverbs. Thank you very much, grade sixes, for joining our class. We said adjectives. It describes or modifies the noun. Adjective tells us what kind or how many. Then adverbs, it describes or modifies the verb, another adjective or an adverb, right? And adverbs, they either tell us how, when, or where, to what kind, or to what extent or what degree, right? And usually if the adverb tells us how, then it ends in ly. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade sixes. And thank you for interacting. You should have a good day further. So till next time, goodbye.